one year. Like this, if you apply this key and go on like this, you find finally, according to their calculation, so many years making one yuga. Yuga means a unit. Kali Yuga. It is called Dwapara Yuga. 2 times this one. 3 times it is called Treta Yuga. 4 times it is called Treta Yuga. In total, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, 10 times. That is 10 yuga. It makes one more 0. So many years called the unit called the great yuga, Mahayuga. This is what Pythagoras calls the decade. That is the formula of 10 units. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. That is what he says. And then if you take 72 of such yuga, it is called the age of one Manu. Yes, one Manu. Like this, we have 14 Manus. From a big full moon before a big new moon, we have 14 moon phases in the month. Similarly, we have 14 manvantras, that is 14 different types of mankind pass on this earth through 14 such periods. That is 432 into 72 into 14. That is, this is called a unit called a Manus period, or the period of one type of humanity on this earth, having 7 root races each and having sub root races each. Like that, we have 14 different humanities occurring on this earth, one after the other. And then a nodal point called full moon. That is the perfection humanity. And then again 14 moon phases in the reverse order of the previous occurrence. Now they go in the reverse order. Suppose I started at Bombay in India. I saw Kuwait, and then Roma, and then Venice, and then Geneva. Suppose I go back from Geneva to Roma, from Roma to Kuwait, from Kuwait to Bombay. So it is a retraced path. Similarly, you have the 14 Manus in the reverse order of their previous occurrence, and then a new moon. So there is what is called the big month, and 12 such months make a big year, which is called so we have the day of Brahma. Here is Brahma, day of the Creator, and the night of the Creator, and the twilights of the creators. Like this, we have the formula. You will find these books in these scriptures. That is the application side of it, how to apply. For example, if you take the Mahabharata text or the Bhagavata, any one of these 18 Puranas, you have all these things, how to apply, etc. So we have to know a little about this second key and how to apply these things to the Vedic texts. That's why the Puranas are described as the keys to the Vedic texts. We have all these things in the other scriptures also. For example, the Old Testament and the Gospel. But unfortunately, we lost them because we followed religion and we lost the scripture. The priest or the bishop or the father asks us to believe what he says, not what is there in the scripture. If you question about the book, he says you are a sinner. So we lost them. Luckily, at least in one race, we are still having them. Let us have them once again. Every scripture contains all these things, provided we are not sinners. So let us not be the sinner. And even now, sometimes this is called the work of the devil, and we are expected not to learn them. So the devil is so deceiving. We don't know who is the devil. The one who objects you from reading these things is the true devil. So let us try to go into every scripture and know what it is, what it contains. Luckily, they are still living in some families who read and try to follow the Vedic passages. And if we leave off what is called religion and we begin to follow the one religion, we will get it. Because of religions, we lost it. That's all. There is only one religion which is not having a scripture of its own that contains all these secret keys. Unfortunately, that is the Mohammedan religion. Because they had their own scripture written by themselves, composed by themselves, taken from other scriptures, but they lost these keys because they wanted only religion and nothing else. Of course, I am not very happy to express these things, but it is the truth. If you go to the ancient Egyptian, ancient Grecian, or the Buddhist, or the ancient Hebrew, all these things are exactly the same. They are there in every scripture. Except in the Muslim scripture, you will find them everywhere in every scripture. So this is something about what is called the key of rituals. When we begin to know it and do it, we will fall in a line with the activity of nature, the action that is taking place in nature, which is too sacred. Because it is the activity of nature that makes a seed from a fruit, a tree from a seed, and a flower from a tree, a fruit from a tree. It is nature that does all these things. And it is nature that makes us live and makes us exist. What we call life and respiration and mind and consciousness, they are all the outcome of nature, and let us try to protect what nature has given us in the form of the body, the mind, senses, etc. Let us not play a foul game with them by using them as and when we like. Let us use them according to the pious intentions of nature and keep them pure and see that we follow the workings of the nature. For example, when there is hunger, nature is indicating us to eat. Let us eat only when we are hungry. Let us drink when we are thirsty. And let us sleep when we are sleeping. Let us work when we are in working mood. And let us play sex when it is season, just as the animals and the plants do. So we have to go back into nature. Then once again we will be true human beings to know what nature wants us to do, and this second key helps us in doing so. And then the third key, pronunciation. That is how to utter sounds in their proper way. Which is the proper way? Once again, nature is our guide. When we feel that respiration is automatically going on, we should think about them and try to cooperate with our respiration and make it uniform once again, because we lost our rhythm and music in our respiration because of our emotional way of living and our doing many things which are not intended to do. We do many things. Whenever we have a fear, our respiration is disturbed and our heartbeat is disturbed. Whenever there is jealousy, we are disturbed. Whenever there is sorrow, we are disturbed. Anger, we are disturbed. Many hundreds of things are there which we willfully do every day to disturb our respiration and heartbeat. Let us make it uniform, and then we will understand how sound is produced. So, we have to first meditate upon respiration. That's why Patanjali has specialized in this branch and gave it in the form of the science of breathing. That's the art of breathing, pranayama. It's not the smothering or it's not the shutting up in of breath, but the art of breathing, as the Tibetan calls it. We have to know the art of breathing and then know how the sound is produced and the difference between, if it is conscious, it is voice. If it is mechanical, it is noise, even though produced by the vocal cords. Yes. It is the link between the inner man and the outer world. And then you have to practice, understand that there are three basic modulations in the voice of everyone. It has nothing to do with any language. Every human being has three basic modulations: the low, the high, and the normal. That's why the music of many nations represents these three things. First, the basic three modulations, and then each of the three, they have seven modulations. So, 21 modulations in total. And how you multiply these things in terms of time? That is, one unit sound, 2 unit sound, and 3 unit sound. That is called short, long, and longer. We have here it is uttered as 1 unit. Here utter it as 2 units. Like this, every sound has utterance through 1 second, 2 seconds, and many seconds. Like this, there are some basics belonging to the third key, pronunciation. We are expected to learn these things and then the so many modulations and so many times sounds are multiplied by 2 again, because each one of these sounds can be produced nasal and non-nasal, 2 types. Any sound exists in 2 different natures, nasal sound and non-nasal sound. So it is multiplied again by 2. And how to produce these sounds, and how to link up the consciousness with each of these sounds, just as a true artistic musician does it, not only with himself but with his listeners. The difference between other branches of art and music is that people should cooperate with the artist in other branches. Whereas in music, we can sleep in our chair, but the musician takes us with him. You know the difference? Like this, the musician of the scriptures, he knows the relationship between consciousness and each of these sounds, and he links up his consciousness with this sound, and he leads our consciousness with him when he utters the sound. So this is the branch which makes us sing the scriptures. How to sing? In ancient days, you hear in the scriptures that David was doing the circle dance. Just we read in books and leave it. That's something we don't know what it is. And also we find many songs coming through centuries from David to the present day, unfortunately mitigated and spoiled through translations, because they lose their sound key when translated. Now we have the ugly representation in English of the songs of David called psalms. They are no more psalms, they are only the sentences translated, because there is only one key in the translation. By translating any passage, we get only one aspect of it, not the other aspects. But if you can imagine the original splendor of what David might have done, you will understand what the circle dance is, how he danced, how he produces the music, and what he enjoyed and what others enjoyed in his presence. What Krishna produced through his flute, what his followers, cowherds, enjoyed with him. Just we will be able to imagine, that's all. But here is a key which gives us the practical training if we are ready. What we want is only a group of real musicians who want to know the real intention of the art of music, and they should be ready to produce and train the people in a place. That's all. The scriptures are there, the music is there in the scriptures, it is there in you, it is only to link up, that's all. So it is one key which we cannot imagine too much about it, because there is much to do and less to imagine in this also. But you can feel the importance of it when you remember how you are affected by good music. Every one of us, we still know how we are affected by real music. And in the Aquarian age, I think there comes a time when diseases are really healed to music, when health is restored to music, when lessons are taught through music, I think there is a time ahead of us when humanity enters into real scientific age, which never permits man to kill himself in the name of war. We can't call this a real scientific age because man is killing man. We can call this only Paleolithic age. We are living in an age of beast, not man, human being. But shamelessly we call it scientific age. But there comes a time when man grows scientific. And that is what the Masters promises about the Aquarian age. We are not fit to be called Aquarians because we have jealousies, we have differences. No two people can live together for more than 10 years. Can we shamelessly call ourselves Aquarians? Let us try to talk to ourselves, not to others. Let us think of, can we think of internationalism? Then I do not forget that I am an Indian and you are a Belgian, etc. When two people, husband and wife, when they themselves are not free from their own disturbances and rancors and quarrels, how can we think, we Indians and Belgians and Swiss, think of internationalism? It is too much for us to think that. Of course, shamelessly we talk of these things nowadays, but in future, there will be a humanity who has the privilege to talk about these things. And these scriptures are still protected as a heritage for such a humanity, not to us much. Though we can enjoy a little about it, it's not for us, but for the real humanity of the scientific age that these scriptures are preserved. Let us try to prove our fitness by training our children and youngsters in the required way so that they may lead a life, proper life. So here we have a branch of science which gives us the training how to pronounce and how to utter sound, how to think of it, how to enter into the sound, how to get the transformation and how to make the effect the same transformation of people who listen to the sound. That is what is called pronunciation, that is in Sanskrit it is called Diksha. There is also the grammatical key. It is called the universal grammar, not English grammar or French grammar or Telugu grammar or Sanskrit grammar. It's called universal grammar. If you take the concept of a sentence, it teaches us about the science of subject, object, what is subject, what is object, what is predicate. Do they exist in a grammar book? Where do they exist? Do they exist only in a sentence? The utter, they exist in the utterer, therefore they come into the sentence. So, we have to go to the utterer himself and find out where these three fellows exist. They will be always sitting in the chair talking to each other. They are busy. When we question them, they will answer us. And the word Purusha means person. We have three persons here sitting, and we have also the first person, second person, third person, where do they exist? This is what the grammar of the scriptures explains us. There are also three lords of time called the present, past and future. Where do they exist? We call them the tenses, the present tense, past tense and the future tense. We had past tense as our death, the starts of time. The present tense as postponement, because we are not living in the present, we are living in the future. We want to do something tomorrow. I want to go to Belgium tomorrow, therefore I am not living in Switzerland today. Always we are losing the present, thinking about the future, and we lost in the name of past. I say, I was with my wife in India. That is past. So I am missing the present. I thought of either past or the future. A fool to miss the present always. We want to do something, so we don't live. When we want to do something, we are not in the present, therefore we are failing to live in the present. So this gives us an understanding of past, present and future. And how the various aspects of the grammar, that is, what is the difference between action and person. That is, a verb and a substantive, which we call noun, adjective, pronoun, numeral. This is different from this. What's the difference between the two? Before explaining these things, what's the good of asking the child reproduce grammar like a fool? Do our children know what a noun is, what a pronoun is? They know it only through our idiotic definitions that are given by us. We ask the child to reproduce what we produce by what he means a noun. Can you tell me what is a noun? That means, can you reproduce my own definition? That's what we mean. So we are idiots in teaching grammar. We have a better way of teaching grammar, which is there in the Vedic branch called the grammatical application. Here, there are many interesting things to learn also. I'll give only one little example. For example, a noun exists in 7 different stages. Not in a sentence, but in yourself. It is called the first stage, or what we call the nominative case, accusative case, called instrumental case. These are called the 7 case endings of impersonal grammar, through which the Lord comes down as a living being and lives and again goes into himself. And how we feel their existence and how we use them in grammar will be described in this key. If you ask a scholar in Sanskrit, he will give you only the case endings, 7. If you ask him why 7, he says it's the custom. And these 7, exist in 3 each of the forms, because the singular is there, the dual number is there, the plural number is there in Sanskrit. you can say the singular number and the plural number. Why dual number? Is it not unscientific? Why should we have a dual number? Why can't we have also a three number, a tri number, and tetra number, penta number? So why should have a third one in the middle? Here the scripture says that things exist as pairs in nature, and beings are produced through couples in nature. Therefore, it is a different entity. You should have a dual number as something different from the plurality. It's something very subtle, but just for the present moment it's enough. You see, because we have the consciousness I am, singular number is reasonable. Because we are many, plural number is reasonable. Because we have a mother and a father who produced us, not more than two. So we have this dual number. That's just only by way of example. So the real grammar has three numbers: the singular, the dual, and the plural. Not only two. So we have the 7 cases having 3 forms each. And then about the verb, if you take a verb, you have we have 3 tenses in the modern grammar, and also there are some moods: imperative mood, indicative mood, etc. How many moods we have? I say I am moody. The real grammatical moods, when you examine yourself, the total is 10, which we have no time to explain now. Each verb scientifically exists in numbers and moods put together 10. That is what the science of grammar of the Vedas teaches us. And each verb exists in 3 persons, that is first person, second person, third person. So we have 30 forms each. And again, each exists in singular, dual, and plural. So according to the grammar of the scriptures, each root produces 90 verbs, 90 verbal forms, whereas each stem produces 21 substantive forms. Each stem, the base of a noun is called a stem, the base of verb is called a root. So each stem produces, as we have seen, 21 forms of substantives, that's nouns, etc. And each root produces 90 verbal forms. Am I clear? So you have 7 moon phases in each quadrant. You will find these 7 moon phases in the traditional calendar of India, which Kumar carries in his box wherever he goes. Every day he opens it and finds out which moon phase today is going on, because it is very important for us. We have to observe certain things on certain moon phases. Now you can say, okay, there are 7 moon phases, but what about this 90? Why should there be 90 degrees? Why can't we have 100 degrees, the kilo metric system? Why 90? Sometimes difficult for calculation. That's why we had the metric system, so that we may not have a difficulty in calculation. This has a higher law, a higher significance, which I will explain during these 10 days. Why there are 360 degrees and not 400 or 500 or 100 or 1000. Why this idiotic number 360? Why can't we have clean 100 degrees? Circle has 100 degrees. Of course, it takes some time. Therefore, we take 1 full week for the whole thing to explain. We have 90 degrees. That's why one of the passages in the scripture says, with 4 sectors each, Chaturbhis Sakam, that is with 4 sectors, Navatincha Namavihi, that is having 19 folds each. We have 4 sectors, each sector having 90 folds. We have the bundle of grammar and the bundle of astrology. The book of astrology and the book of grammar contains so many pages. That is what the passage, mystic passage describes. It says the grammar book contains 4 divisions, chapters. Each chapter contains 90 pages, 90 lessons. That is how the grammar book contains, and that is how our astrology book contains. That is what it says. So you have a common import running on through all these trees. There is something in common between the meters, astrology and grammar. Like that, the background is always the same, and when you understand that the background is the same, you will understand that you are the background. That is called the 7th or the master key. Of course, there is one more key called the meaning, which I need not explain you. We all know it. We use the dictionaries and the lexicons and the encyclopedia. We know the etymological science, well developed in the modern days. I need not explain what meaning is, though there is a book in the ancient days called the Science of Meaning. That is, how to mean something when you speak, how to speak something exactly what you mean. There is a science. It is called the science of Nyaya in Sanskrit, especially. That means you should be able to mean what you speak exactly, and you should be able to speak what you mean exactly, and what is the relationship between your meaning and speaking. But for the present, let us postpone it, because we know something of meaning in the modern age. We know the meaning of every book, every sentence, every word, every lesson, and every novel we read. So it is one key. Like this, we have 6 different keys to approach the